Comics.fm, JP here with Joe Cicero. This is going to be an outstanding episode for many reasons. First off, because of the plug here. It's early in the morning recording. Get yourself a Comics.fm mug at Comics.fm. Joe, pick one of these up.
Mine must have got lost in the mail. I thought that was kind of like the party gift.
Well, you got the sticker, right?
Oh yeah, the sticker was in the comic.
You got the sticker. You know,
I got something out of it, right?
You got something. You know, maybe second appearance. There might be an improvement there. Joe Cicero, the voice of McHenry County for 15 plus years, Star 105.5. I love it. You're the man. You could have been mayor of Crystal Lake if you wanted to be. You know that, right, Joe?
You know, the political part of things, like people would approach me and say, man, you know, everyone knows you should run for office. I go, have you seen what politicians on a local level go through?
Right.
I would never wish that upon anyone. I know people who have run, and I'm like, I want nothing to do with it.
There's no way. Plus, Illinois politics, Chicago area politics, it's like, you know, you might have some, we'll say some shady tendencies, you know, Italian, all that. However, you're no politician. You're not that bad. You know what I mean? You're too nice, frankly.
That's the conversation people have when you travel anywhere and you say you're from Illinois, or, you know, you say you're from Chicago, which, you know, I'm in the burbs like so many other people that claim Chicago.
Right.
And then it inevitably comes up the crooked politicians that we have.
Always. It's it's crooked politicians. Yep. It's, do you have a gun on you? It's all that kind of stuff, which is crazy, which makes sense that we're talking Chicago, because take a look at this. We've got here, I found this. I was at my local comic shop and it said Godzilla versus Chicago. It's part one of a 4-part series.
Yeah.
LA is next, and I think Boston, and they're going to do it at the end of July, and then Kansas City's the next one. And I'm like, I got to pick this up. And then, like always, I'm thinking Comics.fm, like you, Joe, always be closing. You know, coffee's for closers. We know that.
Coffee's for closers. The best Alec Baldwin scene ever, man.
That's right. The movie itself isn't great, but he's great, and that scene is great. You know?
Yeah.
And so there's several different covers. Let me ask you, Joe, your cover, does it have the boat on there? There's an homage to, remember, was it Dave Matthews' boat? No, their bus. Sorry. They dropped the poop off their bus onto a boat.
Poop Gate, over the bridge over the Chicago River.
Yeah, is that on your cover or no?
No, mine had the stops of the L on the front.
Yeah, mine's got the L as well with Godzilla behind. But I guess there's another cover where that's on there, which is another.
That's funny that they
reference.
added that, and that to what you're talking about was what I really enjoyed about it is all of the references were pretty much. Remind me, there's one reference that they made. That I thought, you know what, that is not a Chicago. That's not how it would have went down. I do have that. But tell me
if it's the same. Okay, so there was a moment, and I've been away from that area for a while, so I could be off. There's a moment where they said, we're going to get on I-94.
Yes!
This is the Western
sub.
Right. I-94.
JP, are you for real, dude?
That's
we have the same note.
I was like,
wow.
There's no way.
Never.
You would never say that. And it's like, outside of that, though, there were so many. And now I just caught this one on my cover. They got Eagle Man over there.
I didn't even see Eagle Man.
That might not be on your cover, though. That one might be not. If you're watching this one on YouTube, we've got the podcast and YouTube. So Eagle Man, call now on that one. There's a bunch in here. You know?
Oh, they did great. So, you know, it opens up. So the premise of this is there's a guy, his name is Svengoolie.
Yeah. And by the way, there's 4 issues. This is a double issue. It's 50 some pages. There's 4 issues within it. So the first story is probably the best one of the 4 too. The first story is, Svengoolie. I thought it was Fang at first, but it's Fan because he's a parachuter. He jumps in the games. That's his thing.
So he jumps. So the premise is, you know, how people parachute in the games. He parachutes in the opening of this book. And we should say, and whoever wrote this and illustrated it did such a great job. Yeah. I am not a comic book guy. This is maybe the first comic book I've ever read in my life. I never was. I did like the Mad magazines when I was younger.
Sure, yeah, Mad magazine, all that. You know, and you told me that last night when we were talking, and I love that because part of the reason I do this show is one, I get to talk to my radio friends. That's number one.
Right.
And two, combine another one of my passions and see what happens with both of them, because it's not really intended to talk to comic book people in radio because there isn't really a lot of them.
Right.
It's like, you know what? Here's a cool story. And I look, my friend Bobby told me this a long time ago. He said, this is just another medium. It's not, movies, TV. We don't think of it like that because it's a little on the fringe. But if you really think about it like that, it's like, yeah, you wouldn't say, I don't watch movies. So I thought if I could find something that fits the person, that's why I chose this book for you. We like to talk about
it was perfect, man.
Yeah. I'm like, listen, but granted, this is, Godzilla, but it's like, that's just a setting, a premise of it all. The fact is it's Chicago based. And I'm like, I looked at this note over here. There is some of the writers and artists do have Chicago ties. So
they have to, with the way this was written and illustrated, like they have to have Chicago ties.
Tim Seeley, he wrote and drew the Blue Line one. So that was the love story on the L.
Yes.
He lives in Portage Park. And Ryan Brown, the artist from the first one, we were talking about the Svengoolie one, makes sense. Also Portage Park. Ezra Daniels wrote the Shy Godzilla, the political one, the third one in there. He was a courtroom illustrator in Illinois, which makes sense.
Okay, one. You're talking about all the people that made it, and it's phenomenal. But that tie-in with it, where the alderman from one of the wards in Chicago, he wanted to destroy his ward purposely because he had real estate ties going back to the corruption of
how great
Chicago.
Is that? Yeah. We're bouncing all over. So the 4 stories, the first one, we'll get into that one because I think it's the most fun because you and I are sports guys too. And so they're basically at Soldier Field and there's a bunch of tie-ins there. So there's the sort of alluding to the Bartman. As a Cubs fan, the Steve Bartman thing, he ruined the game. But then there's the double doink on it. The ball hit him in the nuts.
Yeah.
And it goes doink, doink. How great is that?
So as a Bears fan, and this is the opening of this comic, right?
Yeah, right. I'll put it up here on the screen here. Yeah.
Right. Is Svengoolie is parachuting into the Bears stadium, and he screws up and he says the wind hit it and there's a doink. So right away as a Bears fan, I'm thinking of the double doink. Yes. And I actually did think about Steve Bartman just famously grabbed the foul ball and
ruined the game.
Everyone says ruined the chances of the Cubs to go to the World Series or whatever. I mean, it's so long ago, and the team was choking at that point. But that's my Sox fan coming out.
You know what's funny? As a Cubs fan, that was exactly it though. Because here's the thing: that was a Game 6. There was still a Game 7. They blew that one. So
right. So the Svengoolie, did you make that reference with
right off the bat? Well, so right off the bat, okay. So you see Svengoolie, and he looks like Svengoolie,
right?
And
he's got the beard and everything.
Come on,
so kudos to the people that wrote and illustrated this. As a first-time comic book guy, like now I can't wait for Godzilla versus Los Angeles,
right?
because I've been to LA like a bunch of times.
That's right. Yeah, good
so
point.
I know there's going to be references in there that I'm going to see, and my son's come with me a few times, and so I mean I really like for a first-time comic book to open it up and read this one and see the Godzilla, and then so this guy. There's a machine in Chicago that is supposed to be there to like fend off Godzilla.
It's going to be basically a mecha Godzilla. So this mechanical construct to equal Godzilla and destroy him. He's like, I'm going to be a star. I'm going to pilot this. And he's killing like thousands of people while he's doing this too.
Yeah. And there's like headlines. One of the headlines said Lollapalooza.
Oh yeah. Lollapalooza was good.
And I was like, man, don't do Lollapalooza like that. It's fun to go, but it was like, festival goers and all of these little, it really was a very Chicago centric,
totally
very, very well done with the references, aside from the one that me and you agree on, that nobody would say I-94, they would say 94 or they'd say the expressway.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
For the most part, though, I mean, there was a lot of like da bears, da this, da that in there. There was also a Lori Lightfoot mention about in one of them too. There's obviously the L, as well. As far as when does
they had all the stops. They had all the stops.
That was great. Tell me, Joe, when you read those parts where it's like next stop division, did you?
I heard the voice. I heard it. I heard the voice in my head. I did, because it's like, and they did it so perfect. The way that was all done, it was good. And then the political one with the alderman, alderperson. Sorry, in Chicago, if you listen to the news now, they say alderperson.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay,
yeah. So he wants to destroy his ward.
Yeah.
But they end up trying to send Godzilla to, and this is a reference for anyone who grew up in the Chicago area, especially the suburbs. Like I grew up in Addison.
Mm-hmm. I was Glendale Heights. I was right down the street from you.
We were right. So like whenever somebody would say like the rich people houses, we would say what? Lake Forest,
Highland Park. I was about to say the same thing.
So it's perfect because that was perfect. It was like Lake Forest. That's where all the mansions are.
Right.
And that's how we grew up.
Well, Joe, we're watching, the Bears get ready to go to a training camp every year. It's like they all live in Lake Forest. That's where you live. Billy Corgan is in Highland Park. Of course they are.
But Billy Corgan, I think, was he from Glen Ellen originally?
Weird side note, Billy Corgan actually, get this, lived around the corner from us. He went to school with my older brother.
Wow. That's awesome.
Because my brother Dean plays drums, Billy obviously guitar, and wild that he was like in our house. He was playing guitar right there in our house because my brother was the drummer, so everybody came over to play in our house, and that's just freaking wild that Billy Corgan.
And that's where that Lake Forest mansions, because the Bears players, they're headquartered in Lake Forest. Yeah. And then you had like the Bulls players would be up that way.
Is Jordan's house, was that Lake Forest?
I know I think they're going to Airbnb it.
I saw that. Maybe.
I don't know if I don't know, because you know what? We didn't grow up there.
That's right. You wouldn't be invited there, actually.
Yeah, no, we would be delivering like the catered food there from the restaurant.
That's right, yeah. So many of those great references there. Hot dog stands you see in there. There's the, like I said, the Svengoolie, all the references. So you see when they pan out, you see the Bean, Navy Pier, Millennium Park, obviously Soldier Field, all of that.
Yeah, they had the Bean. The illustration of the Bean was cool. Yeah. It was like split.
Yeah, right. Because they basically. Oh, did you see on that first one? Did you get this one?
I'm assuming that.
Can you see his name tag, or is it real small?
What's it say? What's it say?
It says Winslow.
Carl Winslow.
Yeah, it's gotta
He's from Chicago, the guy that played him, right?
Family. I just thought Family Matters took place.
Family Matters.
Yeah. So I'm thinking,
that's a great reference.
Carl Winslow. We got a chubby black dude, a cop, and that's got to be Carl Winslow there. So fun little one I saw in there. But you see these kind of images. You see basically, they're of course destroying. They're so mad at Svengoolie because he ruined the game. There's a part where they show the scoreboard and they're losing to Detroit like 69 to 3 or
still
something.
Attacked as a Bears fan. There was a small reference. It was where Svengoolie's girlfriend worked, and it said on the sign, it said "Sleep Forever." Retirement home. Okay. And I found myself then appreciating. I hope the people that created this comic book are seeing this, especially like the Chicago.
I'm going to tag them.
I was going back after I read it and looking at just the illustrations, just to see some of these references. And so like now these series, I want to see more of them.
That's cool.
Just for that,
I had no idea. So when I walked by this one, this was like, I'm like, Godzilla Chicago. I'm going to grab one of each cover. And I'm like, no matter what, it's going to be a comic that I present to somebody from the Chicago area. Right. And I had no idea it was, 4 parts. The next 2 are coming out. LA, I guess, is already out. Then they're going to have Boston and Kansas City. But kind of cool because you get the Godzilla premise. But the fact that there's so many, there's multiple writers, multiple artists, because there's 4 stories. They're all double issues. This is like 50 some pages, so double what a normal issue would be.
Okay.
It's got 4 stories. First one there, the sporting event one. Second one, it is basically college or high school friends. I think they meet on the L.
Right.
And it's like, I got my chance to the girl says, I want to tell this guy how I feel because, hey, we could all die in a second. So
right. And the circumstances they're going to die and then they end up like finding each other.
Yeah. Then we got the Shy Godzilla story, which is the political one, which I thought was hilarious as well. Total different, art style. Each one of them their own style there. Very different look there. And then the last one was really weird with the giant girl.
She stops in at like a little shop. Like, you would see these corner stores in Chicago and drinks like an energy drink and gets blown up. Now can we give away the ending of the book? Is that okay?
I think basically she gets big and she fights Godzilla. I don't think it's too, but I love that they have the billboard there over her butt, the space.
Yeah, but the best is the last page. It's where she drinks another energy drink.
It's
huge.
Even bigger.
She takes Godzilla.
Oh, yeah. I think we should talk about that. Yes.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
So she takes Godzilla because she's like 50 times bigger, picks him up, and puts them across Lake Michigan, and she's like, it's Indiana.
Yeah, screw Indiana.
Yeah.
What a great finish to that.
Yeah, like that was like a final like middle finger to like Indiana. Like, here you go.
There's automatically a built-in, Illinois doesn't like Indiana.
Right,
Illinois doesn't like Wisconsin. So there's a big middle finger to Indiana at the end there. And Joe, let me ask you, there's a part in there where they say, oh, I'm from Naperville, or I claim Chicago. That was great because how many times is it, and it's always Naperville, right? Like, oh, I'm actually from Chicago. Like, really, you are? Like, what part? Off of Ogden and 59. Like,
then you're 40 minutes from the actual heart of the city. But in that same one, that's the last story where the girl is, drinks the energy drink, is blown up. She says, it's going to destroy the Loop and also parts of Chicago that I like.
Yeah.
So the Loop gets no love because the Loop is, if you don't know, it's like the business district. It's where all the tourists go and everything, like Michigan Avenue and shopping and stuff. So all these little subtle things. Again, I'll give props to the writers and the illustrators, those who created it for doing such a great job to relate it, locally.
Yeah, everything was relatable, So the first story there, Godzilla Does Chicago, written by Mike Costa, art by Ryan Brown. Then they had the Blue Line sign written and illustrated by the same guy, Tim Seeley, who's from Chicago. Makes sense there. Could maybe a true story. Maybe he liked somebody in school and he had a chance to
connecting the dots from Naperville or lived in Lake Forest.
Could have been.
Or like us, grew up outside of that area, knew that's where all the rich people were.
Right. You just know. Like there's certain known things in the Chicago area. Shy Godzilla, written and illustrated by Ezra Daniels, and Godzilla vs. Chicago, also written and illustrated by Caroline Cash there. But great, fun little book. And if you have any kind of Chicago ties or just you like stuff about the city, fun to pick up,
Yeah, send it to somebody in Chicago. I guarantee if they read it, they're going to love it.
Yeah, and they're going to make all the references, all the little, all the jokes there.
So good.
That. So when we talk about radio, Joe, you got your start actually in downtown Chicago radio, right?
Yeah. I worked, I interned. I went to college in Naperville.
You went to North Central, right?
North Central College. Funny enough, like you get air checked where your professor will listen to you and give you notes. John Madormo, he was there for years. They called him Mad Dog. He air checked me, and I have a copy of him talking. I listened to it. He said, you have very Chicago. He goes, you don't say north. You said north. North Chicago.
No H.
Duh Bears. He said, you don't say the. You're saying duh. I swear to God, it was like, I had that from growing up. And I lost all that, now it's North Central.
Right. It's like, was that an Anchorman when Christina Applegate, she's like, I got rid of all my dialects.
Yep. Yeah. You gotta ditch that stuff, like someone like Howard Stern over the years, right? He had that New York accent, and then all of a sudden it starts going away and going away just as the years go by.
Years go by, you start to hear yourself more often, and you start to just regulate that. I want to sound like I can be, I don't know what you want, non-denominated, whatever you want to call it,
Right,
like, I don't appeal to that. Now, you still have the Chicago sounds, you know what I mean? You still have some of that, but maybe not as over the top.
No, it's not that amplified like, Dub Bears SNL. So I went to college in Naperville at North Central, and then I would train down. This was like 98. I started maybe 99. Yeah, 99. Okay. Started training down to go to 105.9 WCKG.
Oh, man, amazing. And that was an era where they were all talk, right? Because it was Steve Dahl, Gary, Johnny B, Kevin Matthews, right?
Yeah, I haven't actually. Howard Stern was on in the mornings.
That's right. Oh, and Jimmy Mack was producing. I remember.
Yeah, I worked in the same studio as Jimmy Mack.
Awesome.
For a while, like when I was interning, because I would be recording stuff and doing things. I interned for the Pete McMurray show. Pete was on Pete, and I did it because Pete was on 7 to midnight. So what I would do is I had school, I had work, I had school. The only internship I could get was at night. And Pete was phenomenal. I tell him this all the time. Like, you taught me so much about getting the show ready, making sure that you have all your preparation to do a radio show. And he just awesome, just an awesome experience with him. And I did my Gopher stuff. I'd have to go down to Governor's Pub at Lake and State and grab food every once in a while and everything like that.
Well, you took a nighttime internship because, like me, we had jobs and things going on. We couldn't spend, 10 a.m. on a Wednesday in a radio studio. So you're doing all this and you're trying to just grab whatever opportunities are out there for you.
And it worked. It worked. And I was trying to get on the air, and I ended up. So I bounced around. Remember, Opie and Anthony were on.
Yeah. I forgot they were on in Chicago.
Yeah.
Actually.
So they did a night show, but I would come in the afternoon, and I would have to record their show to play back on the air on 105.9. And then they got fired. They did. I don't think it was. I forget what bit. It was some bit they did. I think it was a song about killing cats or something like that. So they ended up getting fired, and they needed somebody to be on the air 7 to midnight.
Okay. And all of a sudden,
I ended up on the air 7 to midnight. It was after Steve Dahl would be on the air.
Oh, man, that's like getting a show after Seinfeld. But you know what I mean?
JP, I was so petrified. I had never worked on a professional station, and I just happened to they put me on, and I didn't last long because they hired someone else to do it. I was like a placeholder, but then my biggest break came. Actually, it was 9/11. So, so 2001, because at that point I was running weekend shows. I was just jack of all trades, trying to get in somehow with any other industry.
But you were saying yes to everything pretty much,
exactly.
Just doing whatever. Yeah.
So 9/11 happens, and the overnight person at WCKG, they still played classic rock. They played
even with the talk.
They played. It was Talk That Rocks was the moniker.
Yeah,
Talk That Rocks, right? So Tom Stevens, everybody with you, 105.9 WCK. So Tom had been there forever. He was in the National Guard, and he got called up to active duty.
Oh, wow.
So they needed somebody to do the overnight. Wow. And so at that time, Tim Sabian had taken over. For anyone in radio, Tim Sabian ran YSP in Philadelphia. So it made sense. The company said, well, you be the you're going to run WCKG. He then went on to run the Howard Stern networks on Howard 100 for Howard, because he worked with Howard Stern. Anyway, I had my demo on CD. We're talking 2001, right?
Yeah.
And I gave it to him in the hallway. And basically they were like, okay, you're the overnight guy. And I got paid $10 an hour to do overnights in Chicago. And
how amazing. Were you freaking out though at that point?
I was, but also it was overnight. So I had this cavalier, no one's listening, right? No one's listening, but people were listening. So we actually ran stuff on CDs. So I would get in and I would stack up the CDs for every hour.
Did you put them in those cart players then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they went into the cart. So I would stack them up. And at that point, we were playing active rock, which is it was Korn, Saliva, Seven Dust. So, because Tim Sabian, that's what YSP in Philly was. So they were like, well, we can get spins. That's an inside radio thing.
Well, and that time period for like, whatever, new metal, hard, it was really popular at that time.
All these bands were coming up. I got to meet some cool bands, and I loved the music. I was into the music, which was great. But doing the CDs overnight, like I was, I had to change the CDs and songs and stuff. It wasn't, if anyone knows in radio now, it's like an iPod show. It just
basically
playing.
You click buttons.
Keeps going.
Your point earlier, no one's listening, but people are listening. I want to clarify, the idea here is I started off on overnights. Granted, it was on the river in the suburbs, but there is a moment where you're like, I don't want to say whatever, but I remember I had a bit. It was called the White Castle. It was literally just called the White Castle bit. And it was call into the station if you're in a White Castle drive-through. Because I knew at 2 a.m, I'm going to get drunk people.
Your target audience is there.
Yeah. And then if you're not calling in, you're going to think it's funny that an idiot in the White Castle drive-thru is going to call in. But because you can get away with it. And so you're on downtown Chicago and overnights. So at this point, a little bit of carte blanche, whatever you want.
So a few things, one of which is I would get letters from prison, and people would ask me to play songs. Apparently they listen, and I always made a point to play it because
Was it like was it Joliet prison?
I think it was Indiana. It was somewhere in Indiana, I want to say. It wasn't Joliet. I don't think it was.
So they don't have internet at this time, but they have
radios to listen. And so Indiana's right there. So I would get letters saying they're listening and they want a shout out. And dude, I would do it because I'm like, I don't know what this guy's in for. I don't know if he's going to get paroled and be like, you didn't play that Korn song that I want. I was afraid of that, but it was
when we were growing up, it was heavy metal will turn people into killers. You're like, listen, I can't help any further. Like, I got to play the song. The guy that's in for 20 years, he wants to hear Got the Life.
And I would play it. And you could see the envelopes looked like they were opened.
Oh,
by man. Maybe the
so they were looking for making because I guess you could probably send something outside. I mean, we think of receiving like a knife or something, but sending out probably too.
Yeah. So and you'll appreciate this. So like to your point, when you did the overnight, you do the White Castle thing, like do whatever you want. So what I used to do was I have audio of this on a cassette tape. I used to do a voice as Paul Mall. He would smoke cigarettes all night, right? Because Paul Mall, so my name was Paul Mall, like the cigarette.
You actually went by Paul Mall on
what I did is, remember Kevin Matthews, he did all of his different voices, right?
Yeah.
So there was like a voice changer in the studio. I would put it on, and I'm going to have to send you these clips. I'd be like,
I want to.
Yeah, it's Paul Mall, just hanging out, 105.9 WCKG. So then, like, I remember, I've never said this publicly, like, Kevin, I think, was like, who's messing with my voice processor?
Oh,
and inevitably
his settings in there. Like setting number 1 is Jim Short's. How dare you touch it?
Yeah. Or Devon or whoever was going to be, or Richard Steelballs, the voices he did. That's the one that I used, but I made it. So what I would do is I would make it like even deeper just to be an a-hole, just to mess around. It would get deeper and deeper. So I was messing with the settings on it. And it was so great. It was fun to be able to do stuff like that and have the audio of that stuff too, which was fun. And then I would give away. So WCKG Chicago was classic rock, like a great station. It was like after the Loop, they did, classic rock. So I would give away stuff at the station. I would put my cell phone through the air and I would walk through the halls of the radio station. And I would say like, oh, we got this picture of Aerosmith or whatever. And I would give stuff away. Nobody listened, dude. I mean, when I say nobody listened, I mean management didn't care. They had Howard Stern in the morning, Kevin Matthews, Steve Dahl. You think they're worried about Joe Cicero doing the overnight?
No. And you're there so the place doesn't burn down.
That's it. I was there just to make sure that somebody was there at the time, and it was cool. I used to be able to the tower, the Sears Tower. Where our antenna was, there's a lot of stations, TV stations. So the engineers, I would have to shut the station down in the middle of the night, like 2 a.m. on a Tuesday, so they could do maintenance because those guys get fried up there.
That's right. Yeah. You got to turn the power down, basically.
Yes. So two things. First, there was a delay on where I would talk and it wouldn't come out of your speakers for 15 seconds. I would do a break before shutting it down and be like, you know what? I'm done. I'm going home. I'm shutting it down. And then I'd run back to the equipment room and hit the power button and it'd be all static. And then one time the engineers, so they would call you 3 times because they had to make sure it was powered down.
Yeah, they want to make sure. They're like, listen, we're not getting fried.
Yeah,
not today.
It's like serious shit, right? So
yeah. Side note, I went up on Cheyenne Mountain when I was in, Colorado
Springs.
Yeah, I was supposed to, I turned the power down. The guy
was
climbing
up
there. I did go with Ray.
The engineer?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
We went all the way up there and he goes, all right, JP, you got a very important job. That guy's got to climb up there. You got to give him the all clear signal. And I'm like, literally, so if I do like this with my hand and flip it the other way, this guy's dead. Like, oh yeah. Oh my God.
They'll get blown off.
I was like, geez, I'm not the right guy for this. I'm too shaky for this. So you had that there. They're making sure we're off, Joe. Are we off?
Yeah. No, well, for you, Colorado Springs, you're Cheyenne Mountain. That's like 7,000-8,000 feet up probably.
The towers weren't that tall because you're already that
you got
far
the mountain. It's doing it.
Yeah,
that's why
you don't have to.
The Sears Tower in Chicago or John Hancock or, that's where your antenna. So the other one time they called and they said, we're not doing work tonight because there's lightning. And I'm like in the studio downtown looking, it's clear as a freaking bell. And he's like, well, there's lightning like 25 miles away. We don't take any chances. And I was like, that's fair. Tallest building pretty much almost in the world, you above it. Makes sense that, you don't take a chance to go up if there's lightning, within the vicinity, because you never know. You're the highest thing that's around in the Midwest.
What a job, by the way. The balls on these guys to have to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, to get up there and do that. And so it was never, I look back on that stuff. Yeah. I got $10 an hour. If I had a park in Prudential, it cost me $16. It cost me 2 hours of pay.
Right.
So
here's at that point, this is the greatest thing ever. The pay is almost irrelevant at that point,
it's nothing.
Because this is an opportunity of a lifetime. And then, cut to several years later, you've had stints, of course, in Waukegan, then you went to Colorado Springs as well.
Yep.
And then when you're on Star, you get the gig in McHenry County, Crystal Lake. At this point, you're going to be the morning show host, right? You're taking over mornings from, was it Gary, the bagel guy?
No. Right? So this is actually funny. I wonder how many people are going to get a kick out of this. So
2010-ish, 2009?
2009.
Okay.
I get to town and Floyd Evans was the VP at the time. He's the one that brought me back.
Yeah, great guy.
So he brought me back and he introduces me to the program director at the time, who has no idea that I was hired.
Oh my God, which is not a good move.
No, because he ended up getting let go like 3 days later.
So he probably knew, wait a minute, they hired a morning show guy.
I think so.
I'm the PD and I didn't know. So at this
I had nothing to do with it. I took the gig. I got there. They introduced me. He's like, who are you? And then
it's one of those things where you're just trying to do the job you were hired for. You're not looking to get in the middle of this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I got there to do it. And, they gave me, part of the deal was I got a cell phone. I was like, ooh,
that's a big deal.
I'm getting a cell phone now. But this is so great. I've never told any of these stories publicly. They gave me a Verizon cell phone, but I still have the same number. It's my phone now, but I still have the same number. The plan for it, because it had been passed down to different people in the company, the plan was it was a ridiculous amount of money a month because it was per minute because there was no plan on it.
Oh, because back then you bought minutes on cell phones.
Yes. So there was no minutes. So it was 25 cents a minute for the phone and per text. And I think the bill was $500 something a month. And I ended up changing it. And I told Floyd at the time, I was like, just so you know, I'm saving you $5,000 a year because I changed the cell phone plan on this thing because it's been passed down from person to person.
Right. That's crazy.
So I start mornings and Molly J was there doing mornings. That was between Gary and Paula. And then Molly. So Molly was, I always say, Molly was so sweet. She trained me on the board to do mornings because she was going to do middays. She was getting married.
Yeah.
She was moving to middays. They were moving me to mornings. And she was really nice. Like, I don't know if I would have been so nice to the person that was coming in.
I was about to say, it takes a special personality. And Molly is super sweet, you know. And the average radio person, it's usually a little bitter when, especially if they were going for a gig and they didn't get it. And then it's like, I got to show this guy. So the fact that we both know her, so of course that is her personality, but that doesn't normally happen. Usually it's like, I think, hey kid, figure it out.
Yeah, and I didn't know for sure if she was, maybe she knew at the time. I never asked her if she's going to middays. I think she might have known, but either way, for her to like show me, you know, how to run the stuff, like how things worked was great. And then, you know, I get there and, you know, they were doing like birthday shout outs and anniversaries at like 6:10 every morning. And I said, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing birthday and anniversary shout outs every single morning. So I stopped doing that. And there were a few people that are like, come on. But I was like, you know, every morning at the same time doing like anniversary birthday shout outs.
You're realizing at this point in the broadcast world, you know, this is now, I mean, there was a point in time, I don't know if it was maybe like early 2000s, mid 2000s, when things change. Howard Stern goes to the satellite. We start to realize like the wacky, the nicknames, the goofiness, the bits.
Yeah, it's going away.
Those aren't really a thing anymore. You know what they want now? Relatable stories from suburban dad.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's what you were like, I'm just going to be
fit the bill. I fit the bill, you know, and it was, and look, that wasn't a unique thing. I mean, I'm a student of Chicago radio at the end of the day. You know, I worked, I interned for Pete McMurray. I worked with Kevin Matthews, who helped me to get the job in Colorado Springs, by the way. Actually he actually put in a good word for me because he was it was Citadel Broadcasting, and he was over in Michigan at the time.
Wow. So, how great is that, by the way? Kevin Matthews helped you get the job, and you helped me get that job. So you're my Kevin Matthews. You're my Kevin Matthews.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't put myself up there with the Kevin Matthews, but I tell Kev anytime I talk to him, and I still stay in touch with him. He's the sweetest guy ever.
That's awesome.
And I tell him, dude, I get goosebumps talking about it because, like,
is he in Michigan? He's from Michigan, right? And he's probably back there now?
Yeah, and he was in Grand Rapids for a while doing stuff. And he kind of went back to, like, he would just want to have fun, man. He wanted to have fun on the radio, and he started doing that stuff. And just so sweet that he was able to, like, help me out with that. And it was just, you know, it was a blessing.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, man. I can't say enough good things about him.
Well, like you said, a student of Chicago radio and the connections you built, but it was your attitude. You know, a lot of times on the show, we talk about, you know, advice you would give to someone getting into the business, whether it's actually radio or TV or even just podcast content creation. I mean, is that your best advice? Just basically like give it your all and say yes? Or is there anything else you'd want to pass on to somebody?
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, being real. For me, that's the school I'm from, like the Steve Dahl. Like people have said, oh, you remind me of Steve Dahl, like when talking about the family. To me, that's like the highest compliment ever to hear that, because Steve was just legendary for that and talking about his kids. And I still follow Steve and see, you know, his kids grown up. He's got grandkids. It's crazy. I have people that listen to me when, you know, Steven was born in 2006, and they're like, wild. I can't believe he's 19 now. And I'm like, I can't believe he's 19.
They've gone on this journey with you.
Yeah,
this
right.
Whole journey. It's flattering. It's wild. And these are these, especially someone like you who's had such longevity in the same market. That's kind of rare. But like, think about that. You have people that you are a major part of their lives.
Yeah.
And you may not know them. You might have met them in passing once or twice.
But they know me.
They know you so well. You're such a part of their life. And you always, I'll never forget this. Like every event, I remember when I first started working with you, I went to it was like a remote, like a hot dog joint or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And because I was like, listen, I'm new. I want to go to the stuff because I want to, you know, support the team and all that. And
it was called Just Hot Dogs, by the way.
Oh, was it?
It's called Just Hot Dogs.
And what did they sell?
Just hot dogs. The most Chicago restaurant ever.
Yeah. And so I remember thinking like, wow, like this is the way it's supposed to be, because you guys weren't fake. Like I fully admit whenever I do on-air appearances, I'm a flip the switch kind of guy.
Yeah.
Like when I'm on, and I will go over the top, and I will be at the top of my game and match the level of anybody else when I'm on. When I'm off, and you catch me in like the supermarket or whatever, I'm like, oh, I don't want to do it. I've always found, and even if this may not be true, but the perception is you're always on. And that's rare, but that's why you're so, even if it's not true, the perception is you're always on.
No,
you don't turn off for people, you
know? So a couple of things. Tina Bree, who I worked with for 15 years. And
amazing. Yeah.
You know, without her around, I mean, the show wasn't close to what it was going to be, because I was solo when I started. And
I don't think I realized that.
Yeah, so I was solo and Tina Bree was working in promotions. And then eventually I would have her start to come in to talk about different things on the show. And then eventually she became a permanent fixture. Jack Taddeo, whom you've had on the podcast, like officially made it. She's on the show with us.
I love it. Yeah. Well, think about it. I mean, and by the way, thanks for watching a previous episode of Comics.fm. Yeah. I always love that. But you knew that I'm not doing the birthday. I'm not doing the cheesy stuff. So if you're talking to people, once again, relatable content, why not bring in someone that can sort of compliment the show? And why wouldn't you do that, right?
And Tina was the perfect compliment. I mean, we're best friends. Like literally we talk to each other on the phone once or twice a day. You know, her husband Justin is like the best ever.
Great guy. I met him once. Great guy.
We just stayed at an Airbnb together for a wedding in Phoenix, all three of us. Like ridiculous, cool. You know, and he and I are watching old Saturday Night Live MacGruber bits and just whatever. It's just great. Like, you know, these are, you know, some people, they, you know, might fake it till they make it. But for us, it was real. And again, that's what resonated to the point, you know, you're making is being real. But, you know, to go back, I know we strayed away a little bit, like, you know, people that are starting to do stuff is, to be real, but also to, you know what you're going to be talking about as well. Mm-hmm. Like kind of at least have a loose outline. Like you would just have a loose outline, and some stuff we would prepare more for. Like
a couple of bullet points at the most just to get you rolling, you know.
People can't believe, I mean, I've done stand-up comedy a couple of times in my life.
Nice.
And it's so different than doing radio, even a monologue on radio, because there's a live audience that you can see in front of you, and you have to take those pauses at different times. And
pauses, and they're waiting for you to flub. You know, radio. One thing I always loved about radio is pre-internet, it's a one-way street. Think about that. You got a microphone. They don't. Now everybody has a microphone. Right?
And they can do the show. Everyone starts a podcast and does whatever. Yeah. But, you know, you have to, at the very least, like, you know, have an idea what you know, focus of what you're going to be doing at the end of the day.
Well, doing stand-up probably helped because there's some preparation obviously involved with all that. And, you know, think about this too. What time did you have to get up on a daily basis?
Well, dude, that's the thing is, you know, getting up at 3:30 in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning to start at 5 a.m. Like right now, I just get tired thinking about it.
So now you're doing weekends on Star 105.
I do one show. I do 8 to noon on Saturdays. And, you know, listen, that's the earliest I get up all week, to be honest, because otherwise I really don't even set an alarm now.
Well, you know? I don't think the average person realizes. Like most people think radio is one of those things, kind of like stand-up comedy. I could do that.
Yeah.
It's like, well, can you get up at 3:30 a.m.
and then still function, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Function, have a show. You know, I will always credit you, because there was a time when you were, you know, program director, but even when you weren't, you were involved in other stuff during the day.
Yeah, promotions.
I was thinking, man, if I was this guy, I would be out of here, because, you know, you might want to make an appearance here and there and like say, you know, check, because, you know, sometimes it's beneficial to you. I want to talk to the sales rep. Why? They're working on a deal that includes me, but you would stick around and interact. I'm thinking, how's this guy not dead? Because like I'd be like so tired at 10 o'clock if I did what you did.
And it started catching up with me. And it's part of the reason that I decided, you know, I'm segueing out of this. That and, you know, multiple other reasons within, you know, the industry and everything.
Well, it's corporate radio.
Yeah, it's different. It's totally different. And I wasn't feeling healthy, you know, and I even said, I was like, I mean, we kind of need a producer. They put us on 3 stations at one time. And then, you know, they flipped one of those to country format.
Well, I came by to visit you and Tina a couple of years ago, and I was like,
the process. I remember that.
I'll never forget that, because I remember telling Jack Taddeo afterwards, I went and saw Joe. I go, let me tell you what they're doing over there.
And he's like, what?
You and Tina, like I'm thinking technology is supposed to make our lives easier.
Yeah.
Right? They're supposed to be doing, you guys had 3 screens for 3 stations. You're swapping commercials, you're doing bits, how things played at the right time and not the right time. I couldn't believe it, and still do the show.
That's the thing. That was the thing.
Entertainer,
Still doing the show. And I felt like the show was starting to suffer because our bandwidth was like trying to get the technical aspects of it. Right. And I just wasn't feeling like healthy. I was like stressed and anxiety. And I was like, you know what? And now I'm the, promotions director, marketing director for a drive-in movie theater. And I have the hat on, but
let's talk about, So you guys, I mean, there's a long history with the theater. I mean, basically there was a moment when it could have gone away, and then like fans get behind it and brought it back.
There was, I forget, I think it might've been Honda or Toyota. They gave a projector because it went digital, because it used to be film.
And they had to go digital because that's how the movies were being delivered, right?
Yeah, because they deliver it like on a hard drive. You would love it, man. You would love to see it comes on like, however many 500 gigabytes. It's, Jurassic World or whatever it is. You plug it in, it downloads into the system, and then you're able to play it. But then the movie company, this is another podcast for another day, like to unlock the movies like this, like 40 different characters, and you gotta it only works from a specific time, so
it's like are we watching a movie, or are we launching nukes right
dude
now?
It feels like turn your key,
turn the keys,
turn your key.
I got my key.
Kind of like that. But I left radio to go work at a drive-in movie theater, and sometimes I just say, let that sink in. I left radio to go work at a drive-in, and there's only like 350 of them left in the United States.
I love it. I think the stories that revolve around radio jobs in corporate radio, everybody gets fired. Everyone gets, it happens to everybody. It's never a knock, because it's almost like, of course things happen. All that stuff happens, but the stories that go with it, the idea that, I mean, I got fired from a corporate job, and then I'm like, I'm going to try to get on the radio. Like there was a change in the morning show, and they're like, you know what? I'm going to go do this. It's frankly the idea of following your passion. That's what you're doing now. Still
to go out on my terms, like anyone in radio who would watch this, or anyone who's ever left a job on their own volition and not let it eat them up, and then they just get fired or let go or laid off, whatever. It was important to me because I had time to come to terms with the fact that I'm not going to be on the radio anymore. I had sealed the deal. Again, didn't talk publicly about this, but I had sealed the deal with the drive-in movie theater, the McHenry Outdoor, where I'm at now. Boom. To like maybe 3 or 4 months before I actually resigned. And really the only reason I stayed because of the insurance for me and my kids, because the Cobra would have killed me.
This is something I was talking with my wife the other day. Like how bad does it suck? Not to get too much tangent, but in America, insurance is tied to your jobs, and then you have to make decisions based on that. It's like, come on,
So I decided to stick it out. I decided to stick it out because the Cobra would have cost me thousands of dollars a month, and I was like, I can't do it. And so I had time to process it. Tina had time. She knew, being so close with her, it's not like 2 weeks. I was like, hey,
she was probably stressing too, right? Because she wasn't again, when I went and visited you guys, I mean, you were awesome, but you guys were different. You were,
we were distracted.
I saw it in your faces and in your eyes. Like you guys are nowhere near the, like, basically, I don't want to say you weren't the well-oiled machine, but
I know what you're saying though. It was like our bandwidth was it's the bandwidth. I like using that analogy because it's like, the internet that you have can only support so much. And we were like this before up here, and then all the technical stuff, it's like it starts and it's like, where do you go? Now we're doing more technical and stuff, and
it felt almost like you guys were put into a mode where almost like every other day part in radio, middays, where it's like button it up, lock down this, and this, put this. It's like, no, but mornings were supposed to be, we always know mornings are supposed to be different. That was always the mantra that I always had. Part of why I wasn't selected to do a morning show was like mornings was always like, listen, morning shows got to be live in the moment.
And you set the pace, you know?
Yeah, don't mess with them. Don't give them too much. If you're a sales rep, don't you dare go in the studio at 8 in the morning. Whereas other parts during the day, it's like, okay, it's fine, whatever. But mornings were supposed to be like this sacred kind of moment for 4 hours where it's like, hey, man, don't mess with the big star. Not to sound inflict, but you know what I mean? Like, don't mess with it. And now it's like, it's now been tainted because now it's mornings were now treated. And this happens not just, in several markets and several radio companies these days. And this is why there's problems, because it's like, that was supposed to be the safe area of, you don't mess with mornings. Don't give them too much. Don't make them part of the machine. In fact, if anything, part of why morning show hosts are cool is they're still the bad boys in a sense. They're still the ones like, you would complain like, hey, the switch isn't working. And listeners are like, is that real? Is that not real? It's like, oh, it was real. And now it's like, Joe, you shouldn't complain about stuff. Now it's cool.
Now, as Tina says, my former co-host, I'm the weekender that messes everything up. She's like, you're the weekend guy. It's your fault. You're just a weekender now.
Yeah, know your place. Know your role.
Knock it down a few pegs, like type thing.
Yeah, take it easy, buddy.
Yeah, but you're right. It was, like stressing us out and everything, and played into my decision. And I was able to come to terms with it and everything, which was nice. And I really, it's not, I don't really miss it. I mean, I love being on Saturdays and being able to dabble. But I don't wake up and have a feeling of regret that I left the show after 15 years. That was, a successful show.
Well, I think because it was very successful, and you came to terms with it on your terms. If you were fired and you were gone like that, you would probably go through some stuff and still be going through some stuff.
How many people do you know? And it's not only, you talk about being stressed and you're doing more. It's not only radio, man. It's every job USA where there's cuts, and then they're asking people to do more stuff. And, we got rid of this person, who's going to take over their duties? Well, we're not going to pay anyone more, but we're just going to give you more stuff to do. What are you going to do? Quit? And then you won't have insurance and you can't take care of your family. And it's like, that's why everyone's so wound up tight in this world.
You're so right. That's why they're ornery online, comments, Facebook, YouTube, because they're also pissed off in their day-to-day because of what they're being, squeezed at their jobs and their lives and everything. It's wild, but you've managed to take control of it. You've had side projects, you've had hobbies, you've done a great job with sort of the brand of Joe Cicero. A lot of people, this is not a knock on any person individually, but a lot of radio people that get a raw deal are pissed off afterwards because they didn't spend the time to market themselves.
Right. To have,
you always have,
and I've told numerous people that, listen, you should really be working on your stuff, because it used to be in radio, somebody would go away and they were just gone. Like if Kevin Matthews was not on a station anymore, people are like, where the hell did he go? There'd maybe be a, Robert Feeder, the local columnist, would put out that Kevin's not on there. But nowadays it's that accessibility that people could just go to like a Facebook page, but you've got to cultivate. That's a job in itself.
It is.
To, anyone who is an influencer, wants to be an influencer, no matter what it is, like any other job, it's what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. If you think people are just going to find you magically, they're not. You need to be found. You need to be findable, I guess.
And you need to not be scared of putting yourself out there, but also, frankly, asking for the views. There's a level of, you've had engagement in the community for so long. So you have a good job of it. So there's no reason why people wouldn't follow you to the next thing. So there's no reason. I guarantee you people are going to this theater now because you're involved. Not everybody, but more people, because it's like, oh, this is Joe's next thing. We know he's going to give it his all. So when you're doing a theme week of all the John Hughes movies in a week, right? Which you're doing that, right? I think.
Yeah, no, I can't wait for that. The John Hughes weekend we're doing 6 movies, 3 on Friday, 3 on Saturday. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Breakfast Club, 16 Candles on the Friday, And then on the Saturday, I love is going to be Great Outdoors, Uncle Buck, and Weird Science.
Oh,
So
nice.
like it's
Yeah.
six phenomenal movies, from
so
John
great.
Hughes, who has ties to the area, had a farm in unincorporated Harvard, and did all of his stuff on the North Shore. And we're gonna do we're gonna do $2 sausages, brats. So Abe Froman.
I was gonna say, are you gonna play the role of Abe Froman, the Sausage King of Chicago?
Yeah, got to do it. So yeah, I mean, listen, I love what I'm doing now. I know that, people are trying to make their way any which way that they can. Sometimes on social media, less is more. Like I think I post once a week now because I don't, when you're doing the radio show, you're always trying to, promote stuff and do stuff. Right. So that was a relief to me that it was like, I don't have to,
I like it because you have a giant circle of influence.
Yeah, that's
built,
a good, I like that.
It's already built. So all you got to do is water the plants every now and then. And I don't mean make it sound like it's like you're just
no, but the work goes into it. What you're saying is, all of that work. It's whatever analogy, whatever
you build equity with your audience. Basically.
Yes, that's the meme. The meme of the iceberg tip coming out of the water and what you don't see underneath it for the past 20 whatever years type of thing is like you put the work in and then just naturally, because people will say, man, you're all over, you're doing so much. And they even would say that when we were doing the show like the last year, but we literally weren't out as much, but we had been out so much for over a decade. We just had the idea of like, you guys are everywhere.
Well, and perception is reality. And it's kind of like an advertiser on the radio. They could be off for 2 years. And they go, I heard you on the radio. Like, we haven't run radio ads in 2 years, but awesome.
I heard it. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard it. You built equity in people's brains, and I love that. With all your history between Chicago radio and at Star and everywhere else, is there a celebrity that you ran into or interviewed or talked to that were just like, wow, they are like the coolest person ever?
So I have a coolest person, right? It pops into my head, but I also have one that was not cool.
I think I know who the not cool one is, but let me do the cool. We'll do the cool one first.
So my favorite was Alanis Morissette in the early 2000s. This was, so she had been known, she had long hair from her You Ought to Know days and the Jagged Little Pill. She got like a pixie cut. She got a really short haircut. Yeah. Everyone's like, Alanis Morissette cut her hair. Like, people were bashing it, whatever.
People used to get really mad about hair in the early 2000s. But Metallica cut their hair.
Yeah. Remember, they went short. Like, yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah. So I got to meet her. Like, we did a backstage thing with one of the radio stations. And she was just, talking to people, taking a couple pictures. And you get like 30 seconds tops with these people, right? And I just said to her, I said, hey, I don't care what anyone says. Like, your hair is like adorable. It looks really cute. And the record rep came up to me after and was like, hey, Alanis mentioned like how sweet it was that you said that you love her hair. Like, it looks cute. And I was like,
how cool is that?
I was like, it could have been me and Alanis, baby. It could have been us.
Well, I would say, have you listened to an album after that encounter? Because maybe you were the Dave Coulier on the next album.
I don't think so.
She wrote a song talking about, some random radio DJ talking about my hair.
Yeah. That's fun. But no, that was a really fun one.
That's so cool.
And then there's two that come up that one was really early in my career with John Mayer.
Oh, really?
And I am a huge John Mayer fan. I'll preface all this with I listen to his live album constantly.
Okay.
I've seen him numerous times, but he was playing, I think it was Carthage College in Kenosha. So this is like right when his album, he won all the Grammys and stuff. So this was like 2003. First off, the guy is so tall, but so I had to do radio stations like your boss will say, hey, when you meet John Mayer, get audio of him saying, hey, it's John Mayer. Yeah. And I listen to blah, blah, blah.
Because they're going to take that bit and make like a bumper out of it. Then they're going to play that on the air. So
when it goes into his song, like Bigger Than My Body or whatever, because that was it. So I have the stuff and I wrote some myself.
Okay.
And it was like, and I think I was on with Rebecca at the time. And it was like, hey, it's John Mayer. When I'm not busy winning Grammys, I listen to Joe and Rebecca on 102.3 or whatever.
Love it. Yeah.
So he takes the paper.
He didn't want to read that.
And he's like looking at it, and he's like, he takes the Sharpie he's got, and he writes gay.
I didn't know you were going to go there with it.
Well, I mean, listen, it was 2003. It was a different time.
That's right.
I don't judge him for it. He used it. He used it within the, I'm a Gen X guy.
Hey,
he used it as the like, this is lame.
Right. That
like
just to be clear, in that time period, us growing up, that it was the lame kind of thing.
I didn't take it as me like it was the copy that he was going to read.
I thought he was just going to say, "I'm not reading this. I can't say this."
No, he wrote that, and I did hang on to it for a little bit, but over the years, I was like, what am I going to do?
That's so funny.
What am I going to do with this?
That's so good.
Yeah, and then the other one was me and Tina. It was Avril Lavigne.
Okay.
And so I don't know what it was. I'm going to preface this. So if you put a clip up, put this in the Avril Lavigne clip. I'm sure that Avril was doing a million phone calls to radio stations. So she just was like really rude and really just not nice.
And who knows how the last one could have went horribly wrong, and now you're the next guy.
Yeah. And so it's not even a bash of Avril, because I mean, this happened like 10 or 11 years ago. Yeah. It's just that it just was disappointing, because like we were really excited to talk to Avril Lavigne. And I do think about, like, she probably was like, you know what? I've done 40 of these today. Yes. I'm done doing them. But other than that, I mean, my best, Jeff Foxworthy was great.
Oh, nice.
That was a fun one, because I used to go to Tennessee where my in-laws had family.
Okay.
And to go to the bathroom, you had to bring a flashlight. So I said to Jeff Foxworthy, I said,
I might be a redneck.
He goes, everyone has one. He goes, everyone has one. So Joe, go ahead and say it. I was like, if you need a flashlight to use the bathroom at your house, you might be a redneck, and and he laughed about it.
That's so good, though.
I'm sure he heard like every single person he talked to had a redneck saying for him,
Yeah, but that's okay. He seems like he would be cool at this. Even
he was nice.
Probably, even at the blue collar, whatever that's like, even at his height, I bet he still would be cool,
Yeah, and you don't hear anything from him. Jenny McCarthy was always really sweet. Like,
that's nice.
It just I look at that stuff and I just like love it, because I was fortunate to be able to, talk to people that were super famous.
Well, I think my thought is always, and you've talked to way more than I have with these, but what I've noticed is, if you give somebody something different than what every other idiot on the air does,
100%.
They love you. Like, I remember when I talked to Adam Carolla and I told him I read his book, I said, because he says when he goes on tangents, he put a picture of a tan gentleman on the side. So when it's a tangent, it's a picture of a tangent, like with a cap.
I love it.
And he goes, you read my book? I go, yeah, he sent it to me. He goes, nobody ever reads the book. I'm like, I don't know what to say. He's like, man, and he's like, I love you. And I was like, oh my God. Like, because it's something different than the other 100 idiots with the microphone told me,
Simon Cowell, and by the way, I don't know how we're going to walk away from this podcast, because all the names that are dropped on the ground right now, like we're dropping all these names. Simon Cowell was really fun. They were doing one of the America's Got Talent or whatever it was. And he did a John Wayne accent for us.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's on YouTube or something somewhere. But it was really funny because have you ever heard Simon Cowell do a Southern twang?
I've never heard him do anything.
So that was
funny.
Fun,
So
do it. Yeah, it was fun to do.
Well, I think it's great that Simon, we talk about the times back then and now. Back in the day, we loved British people who yell at us, like Simon. Now he's nice. Like, what the heck?
He turned the corner. Yeah.
Turned the corner. Yeah.
Like, so even what's his name from Hell's Kitchen, Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, he's nice too. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So as we're wrapping things up here, Joe, going back to the comic world, and I remember you've dressed as Batman for Halloween. You got to drive the Batmobile, which Volo Auto Museum, great place over in Northern Illinois.
The old school. It had a Corvette engine and a chassis of a Cadillac.
So awesome. So you've had your, like, I've seen you in these roles, these characters.
Yeah.
If there were a superhero based off of Joe Cicero, like, what is it? What's it called? Who's playing you in the movie? Give me your powers and all that.
Oh my gosh, dude. I'm trying to think. It's funny. I've thought of this before. It's like so many people have, like anxiety and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, and they like, you see people that are younger than you, and you see them, worried about the future and worried about stuff. It would be so cool to have a superpower where you can like show people the future and everything's going to be okay. I know that seems kind of heavy, but it would be so cool to have a power where you can like, boop, and like someone will see every little thing is gonna be all right. Like, I don't know if that we can get the rights to that song, but
there we go. Well, I think that the clip was short enough where you can sing it. I mean, the reality is, if you show somebody, even if you don't show them their future, but if you just show them that it will be okay,
it's going to be all right.
Going to it'll be all right. That would be almost like a comforting superpower. You're just like, I know. You put a hand on them.
I know it's not like a pow bang boom like type of thing or something like that, but I don't know. that's what popped into my head.
Well, think about it. If you were up against Thanos and like, all right, so who's this guy? We got Captain America, we got Iron Man, those guys, we're fighting Thanos. Well, we got Cicero over here. What does he do? He's gonna calm this guy down.
Yeah.
Maybe you're going to show Thanos. Yeah. It's going to be okay. You don't have to snap your fingers and wipe out half. It's going to be okay.
And I mean, this could be a comic book.
Right. It is going to, you're going to your voice modulator. It is going to be okay.
Every little thing is going to be all right. The voice,
I love it.
Calmness, serenity.
So in this new comic book, what would be your name? Like a superhero name, and who's going to play you in the movie?
Man, God, dude.
Are you the Comforter? Maybe? I don't know.
I thought the Comforter did pop into my mind, like like Whisperer, but that's not. Whisperer, it would be creepy if I just went up to some random person and was like, "Hey, it's gonna be okay.
It's gonna be okay. I saw your future."
Like, who is
what?
This creep? Yeah, I can't. I can't whisper. Yeah, the Comforter. And then think about the products that we could get out there. It's got a comforter.
There's built in right off the bat, you got a comforter.
Yeah, listen, the merch already is in the billions and billions of dollars.
Well, you're thinking about it already in the movie business. You could do a custom popcorn bucket somehow.
There we go for the comforter. I love it. So who would play? Like, who's hot right now? Like, who's someone that would play? And Paul Rudd's already Ant-Man.
So you could do more than one. I mean,
you know what? I got like a dad bod, so maybe like a Zach Galifianakis or something like that.
Yeah, that's like a good one.
It doesn't have to be a buff guy. It could just be a guy that is just. He doesn't have to have the superpower. No. He's like the guy that makes you feel comfort. Ladies won't be like. Intimidated by him because he's like your bestie, basically.
He's the buddy, And I think it's better to not have him be like buff and muscular, because that could be intimidating. How are you going to comfort somebody and tell them it's going to be all right? Well, look at this guy with the perfect body. Of course it's all right for him.
Maybe I'll be called Friendzo. Instead of Friend Zone, I'll be Friendzo.
Friendzo is great. Yeah. Friendzo almost sounds like a Wizzo from Bozo Show. That's
right. All of Chicago.
I had 2 appearances on Bozo Show, so I did my time there. I loved it.
Right now, people are cursing you for that.
That's okay. I didn't play the grand prize game. I played 2 other bits. But Joe, I think it's awesome we got to talk. You and I have been friends for a long time, and your first ever comic century reading. I love that.
So good, man. Yeah, so good.
It's at this point, I'm just throwing this out there. A lot of I just got this one. I don't know if you're a Kevin Smith guy. I just got this Clerks comic over here. I'm going to read.
Oh, sweet. I am a Clerks. Like, I like Clerks. So I would enjoy that.
And we talk, not every comic, like, you don't have to read Marvel or DC. Like, I read like horror and weird twisted things.
Yeah.
It's just a genre. So, I kind of like that. I'm not reading novels. I'm not really a normal book reader, but I love cool art. I have collecting art. So I think for me, it's a genre. I'm glad you got to partake in it a little bit.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing it with me. And this is a lot of fun today. Thank you so much.
So coming up, this episode is going to be dropping on Monday, July 15th. What's going on at the McHenry Theater coming up?
Yeah, if you are in the Chicago area, we have actually Superman is going to be playing along with Jurassic World Rebirth. We got Fantastic Four coming up. And then we start getting Bad Guys 2. And then we get into the John Hughes weekend. You're going to love this. So we're going to be doing Jaws 50th anniversary. We're following it, a double feature of Jaws with Tremors. Remember Tremors?
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the Sharks of the Desert is what they call them. Yeah. Basically, we're doing a Twilight weekend, which a lot of the girls at the theater, we're doing like a marathon, all the movies, all the Twilight. We're doing a Back to the Future trilogy.
I love
That's
it.
going to be awesome to do. So it's a lot of fun. We're going to do a lot of throwbacks coming up. We're doing Pee Wee Herman.
Nice, perfect.
Pee Wee's
Yep.
Big Adventure,
I
followed by
love it.
Beetlejuice, like a Tim Burton thing. But if you didn't watch the Paul Rubens on Netflix,
Oh,
that's
great documentary. Yeah, that was phenomenal.
good.
Yeah.
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 So a lot of fun. And we're open through the holidays too, like Christmas movies, Elf and everything.
I mean, I would say, I know we're plugging it, but the fact is, doing something different for yourself or for your kids or whatever, going to a drive-in theater, like I love anything old school. You know, people buy records now. It's like that is the epitome of old school entertainment for the family. Put your phones away and just enjoy it.
Seeing people even in the rain. Okay, we had a rain date the other day because we play the movie, kids playing in front of the screen, jumping in puddles. Like,
great.
you know, there's like 400 people there, like enjoying themselves. Yeah. And it's that old school nostalgia that, you know, we key in on, that people love, and we try to give the best experience that we can. So a lot of fun, man. When you come up and visit, we'll have to watch a movie.
I definitely will check it out. Yeah, I love it. Joe, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Joe Cicero, look him up online. You can't miss him. The guy's been a content creation machine for the last 20 years. You can't miss him. He's out there.
Thanks, JP.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.